In the 16th century, the colonists began to settle in America. They and the native Indians both came from different cultures, which affected their children's interest in styles of toys. Since there were no factories in America at that time, children made their own toys from materials they had. The children of the colonist settlers made their own toys by the materials they found in nature or at home. They made toys like dolls from corn husks and rags, spinning tops from wood, hoops from barrels, balls from leather bags filled with feathers and lined. Similar to the colonists, the Native Americans did not have any companies, and the children made their own toys. The toys were made from natural materials, including animal bones and skins, and required skills to be played with. Today, we look back at the colonial period as a period in which people were wealthier than they were. That is why that the toys today that reflect the colonial period are not necessarily accurate, and typically show better quality and standard than they actually were. Toys reflecting colonial town show that European style of living and dressing. For example, porcelain toy tea set and dolls dressed in fancy dresses. Early houses and forts built by the settlers in the countryside were made out of wooden logs. Over time, the building techniques improved, including interlocking logs, so the building will be easier to construct and more stable. Lincoln logs are toys that reflect the style of construction. These building logs have a box-shaped hole that can fit perfectly into another log. The toy was named after Abraham Lincoln because he used to live in a log cabin. The Wild West described the life and culture of the western parts of America in the late 19th century. The cowboys living at that time had a rough life. They worked hard, camped at night, and struggled to get money. Today, as we look back at the time of cowboys, this period is much more glorified. People today think of cowboys as brave and outstanding men with incredible capabilities and talents, such as riding fast on horses, pulling out guns very fast, catching animals with rope, and many more. Since our generation admires the cowboys so much, children wear cowboy costumes, play with cowboy toys, and ride on rocking horses. War toys that came out is miniature army dolls made from die-cast metal and often were colored by hand. After the plastic was introduced to the market, the toy companies increased their toy production because it was more simple and cheaper to make. Also, they were made in many different colors, like green and black for the medieval period, and blue and white uniforms for the Revolutionary War figures. One of the most popular army toy was the G.I. Joe doll. It came out in the market in 1964 and was the first doll that was made for the use of boys. G.I. Joe's face was designed from about 20 Medal of Honor recipients' faces. It had a scar on his right cheek. Children could also buy accessories for the doll. In 1967, G.I. Joe could talk by pulling a string on the doll's back. The Industrial Revolution is the time period between 1750 until 1850 in which technology affected the economy. It started in the United Kingdom and then spread throughout the world. In America, transportation grew more effective and widespread, and electricity was made efficient and readily available. This era of technology and scientific advances had a great influence on the toys produced and played by children. In the beginning of the 50s, the television started showing shows about science and technology. These shows excited children. Toy companies took advantage of these interests and began selling science and technology kits. The kits pleased the children as well as their parents because it was educational. Since sports were very popular, the first electronic games had to do with sports. The first models were introduced to the market in the 1940s. They were based on sports board game that had mechanical moving parts. They were characterized by miniature players that could move electronically. In the 19s, the technology advanced affected the toy industry. The electronic board games were replaced by computerized games. The first major computer game was called Pong. It was a video game installed in an arcade. A flood of a lot of Pong copies led to a video game crash in 1977, which ended when the Taito company invented a new game in 1978 called the Space Invaders. In the last few years, the video game market has become stronger. Games are being developed for tablets and smartphones. Now, with the technology we have in the modern world, it is not hard to admit that with toys, the sky is the limit.